What can we learn about Ohio State in this game against Iowa coming up? Maybe you look at that game and say, Ohio State's going to absolutely drag them. 29.5 points? All right, next, and maybe you're flipping the channel. That's fine if you do that, but I think there's something to take from this game because Ohio State, for us at least, is the best team in the country. Most consistent, most dominant, but we haven't really had a ton of attention towards them because the opponent hasn't really warranted that. And maybe you say Iowa doesn't warrant that either. That's fine. Let's take a look at one of the best teams in the country and sort of figure out what we can glean from a game like this, because I think there are some key pieces to watch. The first thing that I think we could learn about Ohio State in this game, they have a chance to even further validate what they have offensively. Because Iowa, for all of their faults as a program, for all of their faults offensively, they play some pretty good defense. The numbers say so. 11 points a game given up. That's really good. Ohio State, they're scoring right around 49 a game. Immovable object, meet unstoppable force. We're going to find out, right? Like something is going to happen here for Ohio State. So if they can be able to be as effective as they have been against these other programs, I think you learn a lot about yourself if you're Ohio State. I truly do. On top of that, there's an element of toughness that we have long questioned from Ohio State. I think they put some of those concerns to rest in the Notre Dame game. Hasn't really aged how I think a lot of us thought it would, but still. Iowa, like we talked about defensively, they're really tough in the trenches, giving up less than 126 yards a game. They're really solid. They're going to make you earn every yard in those trenches. And like we talked about for Ohio State, that's been the question, hey, what happens if you just punch them in the mouth? They're fast. They've got a lot of guys with a lot of stars next to their name. But what happens if you just try and bully them in the trenches? Can they answer that call to action? Well, Iowa may not be able to keep pace, but if they can land a punch or two on Ohio State, I would be fascinated to see how they respond. Because Ohio State, they want to run the football. We think about Emeka Egbuka. We think about Marvin Harrison Jr., C.J. Stroud lighting up the stat sheet. They want to run the football. Numbers say so. They're running the ball 56% of the time. If you want to lean that way, you could say they're a running team. We're going to find out if they can do that against one of these better front sevens in the Big Ten. Is it Michigan? No. Is it Alabama? Is it Georgia? No. But this will be a very telling piece for us about how much salt there is to that backfield and just how tough they are as a program. 6 yards per carry is what they're doing right now. Can that continue? I think it also could validate their psyche. We find out a lot about where's this Ohio State program's head at right now. Because they're 30-point favorites. They're at home. They're off a bye. And guess what else? They go to Penn State next week to play a ranked Penn State team. For a lot of programs, there is the poison that you could drink in the situation called the look-ahead potion. So is Ohio State kind of sipping that look-ahead potion and taking a peek at what they got to go do at Happy Valley? You would hope not. You would hope not. Again, Iowa, they're not going to be great offensively. I don't think they'll keep score. But is Ohio State in chase mode? Because we talked about it a lot this offseason too. Ohio State doesn't have the Big Ten crown. You wouldn't know that from how people have talked about them leading up to this year. Michigan's got the crown. Ohio State was the runner-up. And we thought maybe the incentive for them would be, hey, now we got to go back and earn it. We've tasted our own blood a little bit. We're motivated. We got to go earn it. Do they still feel that way? This game could tell us kind of the approach they're taking. Because I think ultimately that's going to be something that determines whether or not they end up getting to where they want to get to, whether they do win the Big Ten, whether they do beat Michigan, whether they do achieve all their goals. Comes down to the psyche. Don't play with your food if you're Ohio State. My question is, how lethal are they? When we do our reaction to this game, we talk about how good Ohio State is or isn't, what are we saying about this team? More importantly, what are some of the other big dogs in the college football landscape saying when it comes to these programs? When Georgia watches this game, when Michigan watches this game, when Alabama watches this game, are they saying, hey, Ohio State, sure, they won the game by 15, but they're gettable. You get them on the right day, if you get them with their approach a little lackluster, you can beat them. Because they've shown it. They showed it against Iowa. They don't have the juice every single Saturday. Depends on what kind of day you get them on. We can get these guys. Or are those programs watching it back and saying, all right, hey, boys, tie your shoes, buckle your chin straps. It's going to be a long one. Ohio State's coming to play every single game. Doesn't matter if they're favored by 30 or they're 30-point dogs. Ohio State's going to bring it. Logo on the helmet, doesn't matter. We got to bring it against Ohio State. Don't mistake me saying that as saying any of those programs wouldn't take Ohio State seriously. But if you think that every game isn't an audition for voters or for other programs watching your tape, tape is forever, all right? Let's just say that. Your tape is your resume. And I think Ohio State could do well to send a message in this game especially. That could be a look-ahead spot against a program that has a really solid front seven. I think this is a chance to send a message. I truly do. So, Ohio State, the test, which is a strong word, is set before you. What are people going to say about you after this game? I'm excited to see. For the record, we think Ohio State rolls in that game. I think Ohio State is angry. I think they will be pretty close to covering that number. Talk to Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row, Ohio State on 3 site. He does a really good job. That site is cooking. He thinks they're going to cover that number. He thinks maybe if you get it at 28, you feel good about it, but he thinks they're going to roll, and Ohio State is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So, hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.